Hi everyone, we're supposed to thrive and survive, November 22nd, 2015. Okay, before we get into this video, wanted to mention two other things. One, I have posted a video on the Thrive and Survive Rebooted channel. I will have that in the upper right hand corner here with a card info link. You can just click on that. I'll try to put it in the description box below as well. Also want to remind you that I have the email set up now for the channel, and I would suggest, if you haven't seen the video on that, to go back and see that. I'll put that in the description below, and that's totally up to you if you want to sign up for the email address for when YouTube shuts us down. Someone has told me, I'm not going to tell you who it is yet, that they've been shut down, and I can't remember. I think you said 2,000 maybe videos taken down. YouTube didn't even give them a decent reason why. So what I am saying is happening. I'll tell you who it is if I get the clearance to tell you. But anyway, the email address will allow me. See, I cannot contact you unless you first say I can. So you'd have to sign up for that. I do have the email addresses for everybody who has also contributed either to the balloon project or to the channel itself. But I can't write you either. So if you could sign up if you want. I'm going to be giving you all kind of things, the most I can. Like I said, see the other video, I'll give you details. Let's get into this right here. I want to talk about the lunar eclipse, so let's jump in right now to that. I want to start talking about, or at least introducing the idea of thinking about how the eclipse model works, and let's start with the lunar eclipse. I've been thinking about the solar eclipse as well, and I'm not so sure we have that right either. I'm not so sure that it's the moon, that it's eclipsing the sun at all, and we'll talk about that in another video. But someone has recently asked me about this, where can we find any kind of models? And I remember, I think it was Stars or Souls did a video that showed what he thought was an idea, which I kind of like, which is the moon shines through a darkened object, and at times it allows light through, and that's when we get the red into the lunar eclipse. So with that idea in mind, let's look at this and cover real fast what we've covered multiple times before, but just in case somebody's hitting this video and hasn't seen what we've talked about before. It appears to me, and I think to many people who believe in the correct model, which is the flat earth model, that it's absolutely ridiculous for a shadow to be considered red. There's no way science can show a red shadow. Nothing produces a red shadow. Now during the lunar eclipse, we've all seen it. It's a black shadow from the earth, goes over the moon, and then when it gets to be about halfway or more covered, all of a sudden you start getting a red bleed over, and what is absolutely 100% hidden, meaning the light of the moon, all of a sudden it starts reappearing first as a very light grayish red, and then it becomes sometimes as bright and as what they call blood red as this, which to say that that's caused by sunrises and sunsets around the edge of the atmosphere of the earth is nothing but absolutely ridiculous. And we've showed that a couple ways, plus also that requires that the waves from the sun, the light waves, have to be coming in at all kind of crazy angles, which science says does not happen anyway. There's no atmosphere to bend those rays. There is nothing for that in science that can be done, and yet everybody in science accepts it as just, oh yeah, a black shadow becomes red. Unbelievable. It's just absolutely crazy. So let's take a look at something which isn't exactly the right model here, because I wanted to do it very fast, and I want to just start getting people thinking about this so that we can maybe come up with an idea. Now I'm going to propose an idea. It's similar to Stars or Souls. I believe he's the one that was proposing this. And let's see if we can start kicking this around and see if it kind of makes sense. So I'm going to give you a little model. Like I said, it's not a good type of deal as far as extremely accurate or even its shape, but it will tell you what I am thinking about. So let's start showing that right now. Now the white circle here represents the moon, and that's the earth below it. Here are a couple of lines to show just, the light beams are shining down in this direction. No big deal, but I just want to animate it and show it here for a second. Now we're going to put the moon in motion here. Now as the moon moves across, what you see in the lower right-hand side is what the Earth observes, the full moon. And I want you to take note also that as the moon is traveling across, as the Earth and moon, remember we have to show it how it really works. The moon does change its position in the sky. It goes more north and more south at different times of the year. It has different paths. So just keep that in mind. Now, let's show the idea of what may be going on here, which is causing the different phases of the moon first. Now, this is going to be the hardest part to imagine. What I've added here is what looks like panels. Now, we can either describe this as a belt, which goes around in the firmament between us and the moon, or this is an object that regularly moves in front of the moon. Remember, I postulated before that possibly the moon is well, it's just a light anyway, but what we see is the mask in front of the light. So in this case, we're going to show the moon going behind this object, and in the lower right-hand corner, you will see the corresponding phases that the Earth sees as it is going behind there. And although it's not timed correctly as far as how the phases work, as I said, this is just to stimulate thought on the idea of what is causing the lunar eclipse and what maybe makes more sense. So we're going to start here with the moon. That's going to be behind the position here where the arrow is. That's going to disappear here. Now the lower right hand corner is what an observer on Earth will see as this process goes. Like I said, this is going to be a non-smooth animation, but here we go. As the moon starts to come out, you can see this on the lower right hand side. As more and more the moon is exposed, you can see that it's what you see on the Earth. As it goes back on the other side, the black areas totally filter out the light. The blue-green area only filters out blue-green light. That's going to be important. Now I'm going to let this run one more time, and I want to explain something here that, you know what really makes sense with this? We have a full moon longer than we have the other phases. The full moon actually looks full for about 2 or 3 days, especially months like in July, where it just seems like it's 2 or 3 days you could say it's full. But anyway, there we have it. And now we're going to run it with, that was the moon, let's say, at its most northern position. I'm going to let it go through here again. But now let's just say that the moon is farther south. What would we expect then? And I think that's what could be explaining how the lunar eclipse actually might work. So let's take a look at that. Okay, here I'm proposing during a time of when we see the eclipse. It goes through a wider area like this, and you can rewind and watch this a few times. Rewind, go back and watch it. Shows you how old I am, right? And the black outer part here would be the part that hides all the light, and then the inner part has to be green-blue, because the only thing that gets through then is really the red part of the light. And so it's not a shadow. We see red light on the moon. And this, to me, makes a lot more sense than umbra, penumbra, total crap. You know, somebody has to demonstrate a red shadow. Can it be done? I say no, otherwise it would have been demonstrated already. So I will leave you with this. I know everything doesn't look perfect on this thing, and whatever. I know I'm missing the lower stripe there, but you can see it better on this one. In any case, let me know what you think. It's just an idea to start somewhere so we can start kicking this around. Thanks, guys. Take care.